and then we'll talk about some of the drivers of the sustainability agenda and what's really pushing this. And then finally, we'll get to the opportunities for young professionals. And to be honest with you, it's not just opportunities for young professionals. And I'll share a little story with you at the end, which would highlight this, that it's not just young professionals or people who are just leaving school, but people who are already working, who have seen an opportunity and want to take advantage or capitalize on that. So let's get right into it. So sustainability. The interesting thing about the word sustainability is that it's nothing new. Like the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. Sustainability is not a new thing. It's been here for a while. The only thing is that it came in different shapes and sizes, called different things, but it's all pointing to the same thing. So you've had EHS. You hear people talking about sustainability, sustainable development, corporate social responsibility. Now you have ESG, you have circular economy, ethical business, all these things. And they're all pointing to the same thing: sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. And we have some on the international level. There are these international regulations and agreements which are promoting sustainability. You have the Sustainable Development Goals, for example, which is a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and for the whole planet. You have the Paris Agreement as well. When it comes to specific countries, they have developed government-based initiatives and regulations. And when we speak about Ghana specifically, you would see what I mean. And then we have investor frameworks. So investors that are basically financing projects and operations have also come up with their frameworks. We have the World Bank Environmental and Social Framework. You have some for the African Development Bank as well, and many, many others. You have transactional standards as well. You have performance standards. So we have the IFC performance standard. And then you have reporting standards as well. And recently, there have been a rise in reporting standards. So you have the EU's sustainability reporting program. You have the ISSB. So there are a lot of terminologies. We may not be able to explain all of these in this very short webinar, but maybe during the question and answers, if anyone wants some clarification, I'll be more than happy to do that. We have the GRI, which is quite popular, the Global Reporting Initiative. There's the SASB, there's the TCFD. Quite recently, there's also the B Corporation, which is sort of like a scoring framework for corporate sustainability and governance. And then, interestingly, there are business sustainability certifications. So in the US, there's the LEED, which is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. In Ghana, we have IFC Edge. The B Corporation standard that I mentioned earlier also has a certification, which is quite popular in the UK and in Europe. You have Fair Trade certification, which ensures that products follow ethical sourcing, fair labor practices, environmental sustainability standards, and many more. You have the Green Business Bureau certification, and then Energy Star certification. So many certifications which have been developed because of the talk around sustainability. Now that I've just given you a sort of a glimpse into what sustainability is, I know for many people, ESG sustainability sort of proves to be sort of an area of conflict because they cannot wrap their head around what is ESG and what is sustainability. So I'm going to just briefly talk a little bit about that. So ESG stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. And basically, it refers to a set of criteria or factors that investors, businesses, organizations consider when assessing the sustainability and ethical impact of an investment business practice or of a corporate entity. These categories, environment, social governance, they represent the key areas of concern for various stakeholders. And these stakeholders are basically the owners, the customers, the government, the employees, the lenders, the suppliers, and even the local community. On the other hand, sustainability is a practice of operating a business in a way that meets the economic, social, and environmental needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So people would say sustainability is people, planet, and profit, trying to create a system where these three work in harmony and do not negatively sort of impact one another. And as you can see, ESG and sustainability go hand in hand. Whereas ESG is a criteria to be able to sort of assess the sustainability of an organization. The sustainability are the practices that the business does in trying to meet their environmental, social, and environmental needs. Okay. Now that we've sort of spoken about sustainability on the international scale and what's going on all over the place, because there's a lot going on, and each day there's a new standard coming out, and something is being revised, and something is being amalgamated, something is being created. Now in Ghana, you might be wondering, I mean, where does Ghana stand when it comes to all this sustainability related stuff? So in Ghana, in the past, even though the laws did not explicitly mention, let's say, ESG, the underlying principles and concepts advocated by ESG are incorporated within the country's legal framework. So, for example, in the Constitution, there are elements in there that are pointing to sustainability, elements of sustainability. So it could be environment, it could be something social, so it could be something corporate governance. When you go to the Companies Act, same thing. It mentions a lot of things that have to do with corporate governance. You go to the Environmental Protection Act, you go into the Minerals and Mining Act, you go into the Labor Act, and many, many others. They are all the elements in there that are pointing to sustainability. Furthermore, we have some regulatory bodies that are mandated to enforce some aspects of ESG. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer. The Environmental Protection Agency, and we know what they do. We have the Labor Commission as well, which looks at some elements of social protection as well. And then you have institutions like the Bank of Ghana that is governing activities of financial institutions. And speaking of the Bank of Ghana, in 2019, the Bank of Ghana came up with the Sustainable Banking Principles and Sector Guidance Notes. And basically, these principles were aimed at assisting financial institutions in the country in addressing some of these emerging global mega trends like climate change issues, human security, money laundering, what do you call it, socially responsible stewardship, information communication transparency. And the motivation for this is largely by some of these development finance companies and much bigger finance institutions that basically support smaller financial institutions within certain countries. And the pressure from these development finance institutions, as well as, let's say, recent developments at COP or the Paris Declaration or the United Nations, the UN's Sustainable Development Agenda, all of these things have necessitated the need for an organization like the Bank of Ghana to come up with principles. And basically, it's helping to take account of the environmental considerations, the social inclusion, the good governance in their lending decisions. Because in the past, lending decisions were mainly made from an economic point of view. So if it made economic sense, the financial institution would lend. But we're gradually moving to the place where, in order for the financial institution to make that decision to lend money to an organization, it will not only consider the economic impact, but also the environmental and social impact. Great. So after that, we've had the Ghana Stock Exchange as well, which regulates the securities markets and basically trying to protect investors and investments that have been made. In 2016, they released mandatory disclosure items for publicly listed companies. And among these items, these organizations were supposed to disclose in their annual reports their policies, performance related to environmental and social responsibility, the code of ethics for employees, code of ethics for the board, and many other things. And then in 2020, I think somewhere around November, they passed the Ghana Stock Exchange ESG disclosure guidance notes, which basically dwells largely on the GRI standards. So earlier, when I was mentioning some of these reporting standards, I mentioned the GRI, which is quite popular. And this one developed by the Ghana Stock Exchange was sort of based on that. And it basically guides listed companies in Ghana and any company basically that is interested in ESG, sustainability, wants to report on that. It guides you on how to collect, how to analyze, how to publicly disclose such information to meet international standards. And this guidance is also to help these companies progressively incorporate and integrate ESG into their strategy, their operations, and their performance management. So aside the Bank of Ghana and then the Ghana Stock Exchange, the International Sustainability Standards Board also published the IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standards S1 and S2 in June of last year. And basically, those standards took effect from January of this year, but are subject to jurisdictional adoption. So what that means is that basically each country is supposed to also decide internally when these standards will basically take effect. And what basically the IFRS does, for those who do not have like an accounting background, they are the body that sets the accounting rules for financial statements. So what this means is that a time is coming very soon. I do not have the date when it will take effect locally in Ghana, or even if it already has. But a time is coming very shortly where, aside the financial information that are going into our financial statements, companies will also have to disclose sustainability-related issues and climate-related issues as well. So that's how come even accountants and finance people are also getting into the sustainability space. And then we also have some other things that have been done, like the sustainability bonds by the Ghana Stock Exchange, and then the shift to green building, to see a lot of innovation within that as well. Now, I just want to talk briefly about key sectors that are driving the sustainability in Ghana. So wherever there is challenge, there are innovators in the system that are creating opportunities out of these challenges. So you see that the trends like green financing and then digital solutions in environmental monitoring. You see the surge in corporate social responsibility and all that. In the banking and finance and investment sector, no different. Recently, all the funded projects that are coming up, they are advertising for sustainability roles, different forms of them. Some may be safeguards roles, either environment or social. Some may be impact management roles. And also when it comes to financial institutions themselves, many years ago, there were very few sustainability environmental professionals within the finance and banking space. Personally, over the past few years, most of my bosses that I have worked with have left and gone on to go and work for financial institutions, which in the past was not so. Now we have the surge in renewable energy, clean technology, the drive, because we want to move away from fossil fuels to a more sustainable source of energy. So you have the focus on wind, solar, biomass, and this is creating a lot of opportunities for various professionals who have expertise in these clean technology, as well as uh, energy efficiency. So energy efficiency in the home, energy efficiency in buildings and organizations. And then the last one that I want to speak about is waste management and circular economy. So many years ago, the approach to waste management was basically to try to find a use for a product that has reached its end of life. So we try to find another use for it and then maybe we recycle it. Now that is even changing, where we've gotten to the point where there's there's a drive towards a circular approach which does not just look at when the product gets to its end of life, but takes into consideration even the sustainable design of the product so that the components of that product stay in use for as long as possible. Then you come to the reusability, the recyclability, and ultimately trying to prevent the creation of waste on a continuous basis. So someone might ask that, what is really causing all this? You know, and it's quite simple. The investors who have the money are looking at being more responsible with their investments. So if I'm a funder who has a lot of money and sustainability is very key to me, what that means is that anybody that I give money to, they would need to meet some criteria. They would need to be working towards some criteria so that I am satisfied that my investment is not being used at the detriment of the environment or at the detriment of people, or my money is not being wasted out of poor governance. Also, regulatory pressure. So, governments and regulatory bodies around the world are beginning to implement different policies, and this is a response to some of these global threats like climate change. They're implementing all these policies that are encouraging and requiring companies to adopt more sustainable practices. And then you can look at this also from a risk management point of view, where companies are realizing that if we do not factor in environment and social issues as part of our enterprise risk strategy, we could suffer from some reputational damage. If, for example, we are a mining company and the communities where we are mining, we are not seen to be assisting these communities with some of the challenges that they have, but we are only taking and not we are not even able to provide jobs for them. Some of these things can have a devastating effect on the reputation of these companies and basically affect their balance sheet in the end. And then consumer preference. Consumers are becoming more conscious of environmental and social impact and are calling for more ethical operations by companies. And then you have the business side of it, which talks about more operational efficiency and competitive advantage. So business strategists within the sustainability space have realized that you can actually create operational efficiency if you integrate some environmental and social considerations into your business strategy. Some of them have even gone further to realize that you can actually create a competitive advantage, which puts you a step above your competition if you incorporate these environmental and social practices within your organization. So these are the sort of things that are driving all the sustainability change within the various sectors, or at least some of these sectors that I have mentioned, and many more. So I'm pretty sure that there are others here who may have experience in some other sectors and would want to also share that. I think during the question and answer session, you are free to also contribute. So finally, we want to speak about the opportunities for young professionals. I hope the diagram is quite visible. For those who are maybe using their phones, this might be a bit difficult, but we would share the slides and then the resources with you so that it can help you. And then at the end, I also have a very interesting announcement to make, which I'm pretty sure will be welcomed by many of you. So from the diagram that's in front of you, you can see that you can sort of look at this, the opportunities in two folds, or I want us to focus on it in two folds. On an operational level within organizations and on a project level. There are other ways you can also look at it. You can look at it from a regulator point of view, because there are a lot of, with all these sustainability issues coming up, the opportunities within the various regulatory organizations for professionals. There are opportunities within the finance space, like I gave you the example of some of the people I'd worked with previously. And then for service providers as well. So service providers that provide various environmental, social services, consulting services. And then there is the entrepreneurial opportunity, which I'll speak a little bit about shortly. So looking at the diagram, if we want to focus on project level. So when it comes to sustainability, you can look at it as a spectrum, where if there's a project, there is the project planning phase and the development phase, all the way to the construction and then the operationalization of it, and then the closure, because projects have a timeline. And within this scope, there are many opportunities for sustainability professionals. At the start, you can even look at the impact assessment. So we have professionals within the impact assessment space who look at that. We have professionals who then also look at the impact strategy, that is incorporating the environmental and social elements into the actual business operations. And then you have those who look at the management of these impacts as the company is operating, the monitoring of it. So that could be done by third party or in-house. You have those who do the auditing as well, or look at things from an auditing point of view, because when you have funders coming into fund, they may want to audit the operations of that project to see if they are being compliant with whatever standards that they've had. And then you have the reporting as well. So you have professionals who may cut across all these. They may have expertise in everything that I've mentioned, but you can also have professionals who are very focused within one particular area. And you could even have professionals who are focused within one sector. So it could be energy, and it could cut across all the areas I've mentioned, or it could be energy, but they could be very good at just looking at the accounting side of it or the reporting side of it. And when you come to the business operations, very similar. The only difference is that with the business operations, it's a continuous activity where it may not necessarily have a timeline. But when business plans are being developed, now they are hiring sustainability strategists to incorporate elements of environmental, social, governance criteria in there so that the business operations could derive some competitive advantage or could have some operational efficiencies or can leverage on these environmental or social factors to be more resilient going forward. So, in a nutshell, these are just some of the opportunities when you look at things from a project and an operations uh, point of view. Then we come to, uh, yes, this. So, if you don't take anything away from today, I don't want you to forget this. When it comes to careers within the sustainability space, we can look at them uh, in terms of pathway, in terms of skills, in terms of training, and in terms of network. So, what do I mean by pathway? You would have realized that in speaking about sustainability, it's so broad. In the past, this would have been an issue for just professionals who are very much focused on conservation, protection, safeguards, health, and safety. But as time has gone on, now you have risk managers who are very interested in sustainability. So it could be credit risk in financial institutions or enterprise risk in businesses. Very, very interested in sustainability. As a matter of fact, some of them are sustainability professionals, but have also gone on to study some risk management stuff. So they can do both the enterprise or business risk or credit risk and can also do the environmental and social risk. Then, like I've been saying, the business strategy pathway, where people have more of a business management or a strategy background. So, it may not be your scientist or your environmentalist or even your risk management person, but are quite entrepreneurial and help companies to develop business plans. And for these guys, they can incorporate sustainability elements into the development of the business strategy. And then you have my friends, the lawyers, who have also entered the sustainability space. And they are looking at things more from a regulatory, compliance, governance point of view. But the interesting thing is that even the lawyers, because of their what do you call it, their corporate uh, background, because they also understand a lot about setting up businesses, creating businesses. Some of them have also gone on to learn about business strategy. So they are doing the regulatory compliance and the governance. They are doing the business strategy. Now they understand the sustainability and they are putting the three together. Then you have the more social side of things where you're looking at corporate social responsibility. And then you have the accountants who have also joined the picture, who are doing all the performance audits and compliance audits and doing the accounting, like I mentioned, with the S1 and the S2, and then are also looking at the reporting as well with the different standards. And then you have the financial and investments who are looking at the green finance, the sustainable finance, the impact investment as well. So there are many different pathways. And all these different pathways have their peculiar skills. But then you also have the general skills that I believe all these professionals need: the critical thinking, the project management, the environmental knowledge and environmental policy, the data analysis, the communication skills, very, very important, and the stakeholder management. the ability to be able to manage various stakeholders because of the nature of the work, how cross-cutting it can be. And training is very crucial. And there are a lot of training available to the point that it could even confuse you as to what to do. There are various certifications, there are professional courses that are available for different experts to do. And one of the key things is being part of a network. To be able to decide the pathway to go on, especially if you're a young professional, or even if you are someone who's already working but want to get into the sustainability space. It's very crucial that you're part of some association, some professional body. There are a number of them there. There's a most recently formed Institute of Sustainability Professionals in Ghana. There's the International Association for Impact Assessment. You have the Institute of Environment and Safety Professionals as well. Many others. Some international, some local. But it's very important that you join one of these because you need a professional network to help you navigate this. That's one. Two, you need mentorship. The saying that follow who know road is what resounds in my ear when I think about that. Follow who know road. People have gone before you. People know the path to go on, depending on the pathway that you choose. So it becomes very easy if you are part of these networks. You have a mentor, and another thing, volunteering and interning, very key. Find organizations that are doing things that you think you are interested in and volunteer and learn. And then when you're also part of these organizations, these networking associations and professional bodies, you could have opportunities because a lot of jobs are posted there. And trust me, a lot of jobs are going around at many different levels. There are government programs going around. And for those who are quite entrepreneurial, there's funding available for ideas within this space. And a lot of the funding is actually going in that direction. And I just want to speak a little bit about the entrepreneurship angle of things, because there are people who may not want to work in a traditional company and may have come up with an innovative idea around renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, recycling, circular economy. Yes, please. This is the time to actually try to start something. There's a lot of funding out there. When we share the slides, we also add the resources, which will have some of these funding opportunities and professional bodies that you could join. And I would also want to add that we at SET, we are actually in the works to put together a mentorship program because of some of the challenges we've seen recently. And we think that it will go a long way to help young professionals to navigate which pathway is much suited for them. It would also be an opportunity for professionals in other fields who want to get into the sustainability space to also find their feet. Before I end, I just want to share a short story, and then we'll give some minutes for some questions and contributions. So, in our consulting firm, we usually have training programs where we allow various professionals from diverse areas to get in and also basically learn and then figure out the pathway they want to go on. And in the past, we had one of these professionals who was actually within the banking space, and she had left the banking space and wanted to try her hands into sustainability because for her in her bank, she was the environmental champion to sort of try to champion waste segregation and proper waste management in the bank. So didn't really have any prior experience to that. But then she went on to study one of the professional courses, the NEBOSH, which focuses more on health and safety, and then went through the training program at SET. And it was so interesting because in less than a year, she had grown so quickly, and then she moved on from the training program to go and join a firm. And I think it hasn't even been 5 years, but she is doing exceptionally well. And it just goes to show you that when you are determined, when you are passionate, when you are driven, you can do it. It does not matter the background that you have. So there were people who said in the comments they were from a branding communications point of view. There is something in sustainability for you. There are those from the engineering field. There's something in sustainability for you. There's something in sustainability for everyone. And that is what I want to leave with you today. Thank you so much. And I'll hand over to